مرحبا بكم في قناتنا المميزة. لا تنسوا الضغط على زر الجرس لتلقي الإشعارات ومشاركة الفيديوهات مع أصدقائكم لدعمنا ونمو مجتمعنا.
All right, so today we're going to be taking a deep dive into Islamic eschatology.
Okay.
So we're going to be looking at the Islamic view of the end of times,
Right.
the Day of Judgment, all that fun stuff. And we're going to be doing this based on a sermon
Okay.
by Sheikh Nawaf al-Salam, and it's called, in Arabic,
Yes.
Yawm al-Hisab Ahwal wa Ajaib Awa,
Okay.
which translates to the Day of Reckoning?
Yes.
Great Terrors and Wonders.
It's a good title, isn't it?
Yeah, it really grabs your attention.
It does,
Like,
yeah.
you know this is going to be an intense ride.
You know it's going to be good.
Yeah, you know it's going to be good.
Yeah.
So right from the start, the Sheikh,
Yeah.
he really sets the tone
Okay.
by quoting this powerful verse from the Quran.
Right.
And it says, O mankind, fear your Lord. Indeed, the earthquake of the hour is a terrible thing.
That's a good one.
Yeah, it really is like a wake-up call.
Yeah, like it makes you sit up and listen.
Yeah, exactly. Like, he's not messing around here.
No, he's not.
He's diving right into the intensity
It's right into it.
of the Day of Judgment.
Exactly. And really emphasizes the idea of taqwa,
Yeah, taqwa.
which is the fear of God.
Right, and that's,
Yeah.
it's not just about being afraid, right?
No, it's more about living with this awareness of God.
Yeah, like a consciousness of God in every action.
Exactly. And recognizing that those actions have consequences.
And those consequences play out in the afterlife.
Absolutely. It's all connected, you know?
Yeah, it really makes you think about those small decisions we make every day.
Oh, definitely. It puts things into perspective. You know, are we living in a way that aligns with our values and beliefs?
Yeah, are we truly striving to do what's right?
Big questions.
Yeah, big questions. And then the Sheikh goes on to describe these incredibly vivid events that unfold on the Day of Judgment.
Right.
And he starts with 2 trumpet blasts by the angel Israfel.
Oh, yeah, those trumpet blasts.
That's okay. So let's talk about those trumpet blasts because they sound pretty terrifying.
They're pretty intense.
So what exactly happens when those trumpets sound?
So the first blast, right, it's so powerful
Okay.
that everyone in the heavens and the earth dies,
Whoa, everyone.
except, of course, those exempted by God.
So who would be exempt?
Well, the angels, for example,
Okay.
and the martyrs who died in the path of Islam.
Oh, I see.
But for everyone else, it's basically a moment of absolute destruction.
Wow, that's a lot to take in.
It is.
And it's interesting, the Sheikh actually quotes a verse from the Quran that describes this.
Yeah.
And it says, and the trumpet will be blown, and whoever is in the heavens and whoever is on the earth will fall dead, except whomever Allah wills.
And then he backs it up, too,
Oh, how so?
with a hadith, you know.
A saying of the Prophet Muhammad.
Exactly.
Oh, okay. And what does that say?
Well, it supports this idea of martyrs being exempt.
I see. So he's really thorough with the explanation, using both scripture and the hadith.
That's right. He wants to make sure his interpretation is clear and well supported.
And it's interesting how he uses the trumpet as a symbol, too.
Oh,
Like,
absolutely.
it's this representation of God's power and authority.
Definitely. It represents this this ability to both create and to destroy.
Right. And I guess it just really underscores
Yeah.
the immense scale of what's happening.
Exactly. This is not a small event. You know,
Mhm.
this is a cosmic shift. It's the end of the world as we know it.
Yeah, it's mind-blowing.
It is. It really makes you think about the bigger picture.
So after this first blast, there's this period of time before
Yeah.
the second one. And what's fascinating is that
Yeah.
no one knows exactly how long this period lasts.
That's right. It's a mystery.
Yeah, like the Sheikh actually mentions this hadith
Oh,
where the Prophet Muhammad was
Yeah.
asked about this.
he was asked about it directly.
Yeah, like whether it was 40 days, 40 months, or 40 years.
Oh, wow.
And he refused to answer.
He wouldn't say.
He wouldn't say.
And what's even more interesting is that Abu Huraira, the companion who was narrating this hadith,
Yeah.
he also said, I refused.
Like he knew the answer,
You get the feeling he knew,
but couldn't reveal it.
or maybe he genuinely didn't know.
Right. Either way, it's like this extra layer of mystery.
It adds to the intrigue.
Yeah, it really does.
Makes you wonder.
Makes you think, like, what is the significance of this time period?
That's the question, isn't it? What's going on during that time?
And why is it left unspecified?
It's like it's intentional, you know?
Yeah, like it's meant to be this
It's meant to make you think.
time of contemplation.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Reflection, maybe even a little anxiety. Like, what does this mean for me?
And it makes me think about the number 40 itself, too,
Oh, yeah, that's a good point.
because it has a lot of symbolism in Islamic tradition, right?
It does, doesn't it? Think about, like, the story of Prophet Moses
Oh, yeah, on Mount Sinai.
for 40 days.
40 days and 40 nights.
And the 40 days of rain during the flood with Prophet Noah.
Right, right.
So it often represents this period of transformation or testing.
Yeah, it's like this period of intense spiritual preparation for what's to come.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay, so we've had the first trumpet blast, this mysterious period of waiting.
Okay.
And then comes the second blast.
Right.
So what happens when that second trumpet sounds?
So the second blast, it's the blast of resurrection, Al-Balath.
Al-Balath.
Al-Balath. And this is where things get really interesting.
Okay.
Because this is where souls are returning to their bodies.
Oh,
People
yeah.
are rising from their graves.
Wow, so this is like a mass awakening on a scale we can hardly fathom.
Yeah, exactly. It's like hitting the rewind button on death itself.
So it's not just about physically coming back to life.
No, it's much deeper than that.
It has these huge philosophical implications, too.
Definitely. It's saying that this physical life we're living, it's just temporary.
Okay.
What really matters is what comes after.
So this life is just a prelude
In a way.
to the ultimate test.
Exactly. So how we live this life, it takes on a whole new level of importance. You know, it's not just about enjoying ourselves or pursuing our own selfish desires. It's about preparing for that final judgment.
So it's a powerful reminder that our actions have consequences.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not just in this life, but in the hereafter as well.
It's all connected.
Yeah. So everyone's resurrected.
Yeah.
And then what?
So then everyone stands before God,
Okay.
naked, barefoot, and uncircumcised.
Naked, barefoot, and uncircumcised.
Yeah, and it's important to note that this isn't meant to be shameful or embarrassing. You
Right.
know?
Right.
It's about returning to this state of purity and equality.
Stripping away all worldly distinctions.
Exactly. Wealth, status, it all disappears. We're all equal before God.
We're all just human.
Just human, yeah.
It's interesting. I was reading about Aisha, the prophet's wife.
Yes.
And she was surprised by this concept, you know?
It's a bit of a shock.
Yeah, it's a bit of a shock. But the prophet reassured her, saying that on that day, those concerns would be the least of anyone's worries.
Yeah, there are bigger things to worry about.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot going on.
There's a lot going on. The world itself is being transformed, for one.
Oh, right. The earth is going through its own changes, right?
Exactly. The Sheikh describes it as being completely different, white, smooth, totally unrecognizable.
Yeah, so it's not just humanity that's
Yeah.
being transformed, it's the whole universe.
That's right. And it's not a small gathering either. He really emphasizes the scale of it. Humans, jinn, angels, even animals, they're all there.
Wow, that's a lot of beings.
It is. It's this massive gathering known as Al-Hashr, and it's been depicted in Islamic art for centuries. It's this powerful image of all of creation standing before God for judgment.
And there's a hadith, right?
There is, yeah.
Where the Prophet Muhammad says that everyone will be plunged into darkness.
Just before the earth transforms.
Ugh.
And then they have to cross a bridge over hell.
So it's like the calm before the storm.
Yeah, like the darkness before the dawn. A moment of suspense before the final reckoning.
It's incredible how these descriptions are so vivid.
Yeah.
Like you're right there witnessing it all.
It feels real, doesn't it?
It does. It really does. It makes you wonder,
Yeah.
in all this chaos and terror,
Yeah.
is there any hope?
Well, there is.
Okay.
The Sheikh describes 7 categories of people who will be shaded by God's throne on that day.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
It's like a moment of respite,
Yes, exactly. A little bit of relief amidst all the chaos.
a glimmer of hope.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so tell me more about these 7 categories. What
Okay.
kind of people are they?
They're a diverse group
Yeah.
representing different virtues that God values.
Oh, I see.
So the first one is a just leader,
The just leader.
someone who rules with fairness and compassion.
And then there's a youth who's devoted to God.
Yes, someone who embraces piety from a young age. It's inspiring to think about, isn't it?
It is.
These are qualities that we can all aspire to.
Yeah, regardless of our background or beliefs.
Absolutely. And then there's someone who's really attached to mosques,
Okay.
finding solace and connection with God in those spaces.
So these are all very specific,
They are specific.
but also kind of universal virtues, right?
Yeah, I think so. They speak to something deep within us.
Okay, what are the other categories?
So we have 2 friends who love each other for the sake of God,
Oh, wow.
showing us the power of true friendship.
Like a pure friendship, untainted by any ulterior motives.
Yeah, exactly. Just pure love and respect.
Okay.
And then we have a person who resisted temptation
demonstrating self-control.
Yeah, that inner strength to overcome desire.
Okay.
And we have a person who wept in solitude, remembering God.
Highlighting that
Yes.
sincere devotion, I guess.
Yeah, that deep personal connection with the divine.
Okay.
And finally, there's the person who gave charity secretly,
Oh, wow.
emphasizing humility and generosity.
It's interesting, isn't it? Like,
It is.
it's almost like a blueprint for
Yeah.
how to live a life that's pleasing to God.
Absolutely. And it's a reminder that even in the midst of all this talk of judgment,
Yeah.
there's still hope.
There's hope for redemption.
Exactly. And the possibility of being rewarded for our good deeds.
But this moment of respite is short-lived, right?
Yeah, unfortunately.
Because the sheik then describes the heat from the sun intensifying,
Oh, yeah.
causing all this suffering,
It's intense.
prompting people to
Yeah.
desperately seek what he calls
Yeah.
intercession.
Intercession, basically asking someone to plead with God on your behalf.
Like asking a friend to put in a good word for you with their boss.
Exactly. You're hoping that someone with a higher standing can intervene and lessen your suffering.
Okay, so who do they turn to for this intercession?
They start with the prophets.
Oh, wow. So they go straight to the
Yeah,
prophet.
they're desperate. They figure, who better to ask than those closest to God?
Right, that makes sense. So which prophets do they approach?
Well, they go to Adam,
Okay.
Noah, Abraham, Moses, and Jesus.
So like the big names.
Yeah, the heavy hitters. They're hoping that these figures can use their influence to help them.
Okay, so do these prophets agree to intercede?
Actually, no.
No.
They all explain why they can't.
Really?
Yeah, like Adam mentions being forbidden from the tree in the Garden of Eden
Oh, right.
and disobeying God.
I see.
Noah talks about praying against his own people.
Okay.
Abraham recalls telling white lies.
Okay.
And Moses brings up the man he killed.
So it seems like they're all acknowledging their own past mistakes
Yes.
or limitations.
Exactly. It's like they're saying, we're not perfect, we've made our own mistakes, and we're not in a position to plead for others.
Right, so it kind of humanizes them in a way.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? Even these great prophets, they weren't infallible. They had their own flaws and moments of weakness.
It's a good reminder that none of us are perfect.
That's right. We're all human. We all make mistakes.
So if these prophets can't intercede, who do the people turn to?
Well, they turn to the final messenger,
Okay.
the Prophet Muhammad,
Okay.
recognizing his unique role and his closeness to God.
They're putting all their hope in him.
Yeah, they're desperate. They've exhausted all other options.
So does he agree to intercede?
This is a really powerful moment in the sermon.
Okay.
The Sheikh describes the Prophet Muhammad prostrating himself before God's throne, praising God in a way never revealed before.
It sounds like an intense scene.
It is.
Yeah.
And then God grants him permission to intercede.
Oh, wow.
You can imagine the relief and hope that must have flooded through those waiting for judgment.
Right, like their last chance.
And then the prophet, he cries out, my ummah, my ummah.
Expressing his deep love for his followers.
Exactly. He's not just a messenger. He's an advocate for his community.
So even amidst the terror of that day, there's still this sense of hope.
There is.
Yeah.
Especially for those who follow the prophet's teachings.
Okay, so the prophet has interceded on behalf of his followers. What happens next?
Well, next, the Sheikh describes the scales of justice being set up.
The scales of justice.
Yeah, and this is where things get kind of complex, right?
How so?
Because there are different opinions on what exactly is being weighed on these scales.
Oh.
Is it our deeds, our souls, or records of our deeds?
Right, I can see how that would be confusing.
It's a bit of a debate among scholars, yeah.
So what does the Sheikh believe?
He believes that it's the records of our deeds that are weighed.
Okay.
And he supports this with a hadith about a man who had committed a multitude of sins,
Okay.
but he also had this one single declaration of faith.
Yeah.
La ilaha illa Allah.
There is no God but Allah.
Right.
And that tips the scales in his favor.
Exactly.
Wow, that's...
It's powerful, isn't it?
it's powerful, yeah.
It shows the importance of both good deeds and faith.
Right, and it's also a message of hope,
Yeah,
because it suggests that even someone who's done a lot of wrong
right.
can still find redemption.
Through faith, it's never too late, you know?
So the scales aren't just about punishment, they're also about
Yeah.
the potential for mercy.
It's this delicate balance between accountability and hope.
Right, so we need to be mindful of our actions,
Absolutely.
knowing that they have these consequences.
Every choice matters.
Yeah, but at the same time, we shouldn't despair.
No, definitely not. God's mercy is always there for those who seek it.
So This idea of the scales, it's a really powerful metaphor.
It is, isn't it? It really captures that tension between justice and mercy.
Yeah, it makes you think about what your own scales might look like.
What would tip the balance for you? What would your record show?
That's a deep question.
It is. It's something to reflect on.
Okay, so we've had the weighing of deeds,
Yeah.
and then what?
So then comes what the Sheikh calls the individual reckoning.
The individual reckoning.
And this is where it gets really personal,
Okay,
because God directly addresses each person.
face to face.
Yeah. No translator needed.
Wow, that's intimidating.
It is. It's like, imagine being called into the principal's office. Right.
Except the stakes are infinitely higher.
And you got your whole life on the line.
Exactly. And the Prophet Muhammad actually described this moment.
Oh, what did he say?
He said, it's like feeling completely isolated, like you're standing alone with only your past deeds and the looming presence of hell.
It's like this ultimate moment of accountability.
Yeah, there's no hiding. Everything's out in the open.
And it's interesting how the Sheikh distinguishes between judgment for punishment
Right.
and judgment for reckoning.
It's a subtle difference, but it's important.
Yeah, can you explain that a little more?
So punishment is about the consequences of wrongdoing,
Oh,
but reckoning is about understanding the full weight of those actions.
I see.
It's about facing the impact of your choices, both on yourself and others.
So it's not just about receiving your due.
Yeah.
It's about a deeper understanding of the consequences.
Exactly. It's about taking responsibility for your actions.
Okay, so after this individual reckoning,
Right.
what happens next?
So then people are given their books of deeds, like a physical record.
Yeah, a physical record of everything they've done in their lives.
Wow, it's like receiving your final report card.
Except this report card covers your entire life, not just a semester.
That's a lot of information.
And the way people receive this book, it speaks volumes about their spiritual state.
Okay, so how do they receive it?
The righteous, they receive it in their right hand,
Okay.
and their faces are beaming with joy.
Like they're proud of what they've accomplished.
Exactly. The Quran describes them as saying, "Here, read my record. I was certain that I would meet my reckoning."
They're not afraid.
No, they're confident.
It's like they've been working hard all their lives.
Yes.
And now they're finally getting the recognition they deserve.
It's a moment of validation. Yeah. But for the wicked, it's a completely different story.
Oh, how so?
They receive their books in their left hands,
Yeah.
or even behind their backs.
And they're filled with shame.
Yeah, shame and regret. They're devastated.
The Quran actually captures their despair, right?
Yeah, it says, "Woe to me. I wish I had never been given my record and had never known my account."
It really shows that our choices have consequences.
Yeah, our actions matter,
Mm.
and we can't escape the truth of what we've done.
And it's never too late to start writing a better story.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Every act of kindness, every moment of sincere prayer,
Yeah.
it all adds up.
Okay, so we've had the weighing of the deeds,
Yeah.
individual reckoning, the distribution of the books.
Yeah.
What comes next?
Well, this is where the Sheikh introduces this incredibly beautiful image of comfort for the believers.
Oh, okay.
It's called the Prophet Muhammad's Basin, or Al-Kawthar.
Al-Kawthar, that's a name I've heard before.
Yeah.
What is it exactly?
So the Sheikh describes it as this massive, incredible body of water,
Okay.
a month's journey in length and width.
Wow, that's huge.
It is. And the water is whiter than milk, sweeter than honey.
And it's this incredible fragrance,
It
right?
does. The fragrance surpasses even the most exquisite musk.
So it's more than just physical refreshment.
It's spiritual nourishment as well.
It represents God's mercy and grace.
Exactly. It's a gift for the believers who have endured the trials of this life.
And he emphasizes that
Yeah.
whoever drinks from it will never thirst again.
Never thirst again.
Yeah.
It's this deep sense of contentment.
And fulfillment.
Yeah, and connection with God.
But there's a twist, right?
There is, unfortunately. The Sheikh mentions a hadith
Okay.
where the prophet is waiting for his ummah at this basin.
Okay.
He's eager to share this gift with them,
Yeah.
but some are turned away
What? Why?
because they introduced innovations into the religion.
Oh, so they strayed from the teachings.
They strayed from the prophet's teachings and adopted practices that contradict the core principles of Islam.
It's a powerful reminder
Yes.
that it's not enough to just call yourself a Muslim.
It's about living in accordance with the teachings.
Yeah, and seeking knowledge, purifying our intentions.
It's about embodying the spirit of the faith in our daily lives.
Okay, so we've got this moment of both joy and caution at the basin.
Right.
And then what happens next?
So then we come to maybe the most iconic and anxiety-inducing image in Islamic eschatology.
Which is
The Sirat,
the Sarai.
the bridge over hell.
Oh, right. I've heard about this.
Yeah, it's the ultimate test.
The final hurdle.
Yeah, before entering paradise.
But it sounds terrifying.
It does.
So tell me more about it. What does the sheikh say?
Well, he describes it as thinner than a hair
Thinner than a hair.
and sharper than a sword,
Oh, wow.
stretched over a fiery abyss.
That's a pretty vivid description. It
Yeah.
really captures the danger.
The stakes are high.
Yeah, the stakes are high. So how do people actually cross it?
Well, the sheikh says that people cross based on the weight of their deeds.
Okay.
So some people, those whose good deeds outweigh their bad, they cross quickly and easily.
So it's almost like they're walking on solid ground.
Yeah, exactly.
But for others, it's much more difficult.
Right, much more difficult.
Like they're struggling, stumbling,
Yeah, clinging on for dear life.
terrified of falling into the fire below.
Exactly.
And the sheikh, he actually breaks down the crossing into 3 categories of people.
Well,
What are those categories?
so first you have those who pass with ease, like we were talking about.
They're good deeds paving the way.
Yeah, exactly. They're guided by their faith.
Then you have those who are snagged and stumble,
Yeah.
but are ultimately saved by God's mercy.
Yeah, they might slip, they might falter, but they don't fall.
So even if you've made mistakes,
Right.
you can still be saved.
There's always hope.
It's a powerful message of hope.
It is. It reminds us that God is merciful and forgiving.
But then there's that third category.
Yes.
The ones who fall into the fire.
Unfortunately, yeah.
So it really is a reminder that our choices have consequences.
They do. The path we choose leads us to a specific destination.
And the sheikh quotes the Prophet Muhammad talking about this bridge
Yes, he does.
and the people's pleas for safety.
It's a really powerful image, isn't it?
Yeah, like you can almost hear their cries.
You can almost feel the terror and desperation.
And it's a reminder that this isn't just an abstract concept, it's a real event.
This is real. This is going to happen. And we need to be ready for it.
So we've reached this crucial point, the Sirat,
Yeah.
the bridge over hell.
The ultimate test.
The righteous, they cross with ease.
Yeah.
Others struggle, but are saved by God's mercy.
Right.
And some are lost to the fire.
Yeah.
But what happens to those who make it across?
Well, this is where the sheikh introduces this really beautiful concept of reconciliation
Oh.
before entering paradise.
So even after crossing the bridge, there's still this step of resolving any remaining grievances.
Exactly. It happens on a bridge situated between paradise and hell.
Oh, wow. So they have to confront any lingering conflicts before they're allowed into paradise.
Yeah, it's like a final cleansing of the heart.
It makes sense.
Right. You wouldn't want to carry that baggage into paradise.
No, it's about starting fresh. All right.
A fresh start with a pure heart.
And the sheikh actually quotes the Quran here.
Yes.
And it says, "And we will remove whatever is in their breast of resentment. So they will be brothers on thrones facing each other."
Isn't that beautiful?
It is, yeah. It's like this image of complete peace and harmony.
And it really highlights the power of forgiveness.
Right. And God's mercy.
That can heal even the deepest wounds.
And it really contrasts with what's happening to the disbelievers.
Yeah, they're being led away to hell.
So it's this stark reminder that our choices have these eternal consequences.
One path leads to bliss, the other to suffering. It's a powerful image.
Yeah, it is. So we've been on quite a journey so far, haven't we?
We have. We've seen the trumpet blasts, the resurrection, the gathering of all creation, the 7 shaded people, the pleas for intercession, the weighing of deeds, the individual reckoning, the books of deeds, the prophet's basin, the bridge over hell, and now this final act of reconciliation.
It's a lot to take in.
It is. The Sheikh's sermon is full of vivid imagery and powerful messages.
And he does a great job of weaving.
Together these complex theological concepts with really relatable narratives.
Yeah, he doesn't just describe the events.
Right.
He makes you feel them.
Exactly. It's visceral.
Yeah, like you're right there experiencing it all firsthand.
You're drawn into the story.
So it's a powerful reminder that the day of judgment isn't just this abstract theological concept.
No,
It's a reality.
it's going to happen.
It's going to happen, yeah.
You got to be ready.
And it's up to us to prepare for that day.
Absolutely. And he really drives that point home.
But before we get into the how-to of preparation,
Okay.
I'm curious, what are your thoughts on the Sheikh's portrayal of hell?
It's intense, that's for sure.
Yeah, he doesn't shy away from those darker aspects of judgment, does he?
He doesn't. He gets into some pretty graphic details.
Yeah, and I think it's important to understand why he does that.
Right. It's not just to scare people.
No, it's about emphasizing the gravity of the situation.
It's a wake-up call.
Yeah, like hell is not just a myth.
No.
It's a real possibility.
It's a real destination.
And he makes it clear
Yeah.
that the punishment in hell is not like anything we experience here.
Not at all. It's eternal.
Eternal.
That's a key difference, you know?
It's hard to grasp, that concept of eternity.
It is, especially when we're so focused on the here and now.
And he mentions some pretty disturbing details.
He does.
About the suffering.
Yeah.
Like the boiling water that people are forced to drink.
Oh, yeah, that tears their intestines apart.
Yeah, and the food they're given. The guslan.
The guslan, yeah.
It's basically this foul-smelling discharge from the wounds of the inhabitants of hell.
Doesn't sound appetizing.
No, not at all. Not at all.
But remember, these descriptions are meant to be shocking.
Yeah.
It's a way to awaken the listener.
To make them understand the horror of hell.
And hopefully motivate them to choose a different path.
Right, the path that leads to paradise?
Exactly. It's about giving people a clear choice. This is what awaits you if you choose to disobey God. But there's another option, a better option.
So it's not just about fear-mongering.
No, it's about presenting a balanced picture.
Of the consequences.
Yeah, both the good and the bad.
So what does the Sheikh say about paradise, about Jannah?
Oh, his description of paradise is just as vivid and captivating,
Okay.
but in a completely different way.
So how does he describe it?
He talks about this realm of unimaginable beauty and bliss,
Okay.
with rivers of milk and honey,
Okay.
lush gardens with shade trees,
Beautiful.
palaces adorned with gold and silver.
Wow, it sounds pretty luxurious.
It does, doesn't it? But it's not just about material comforts.
Right, there's a spiritual element too.
Absolutely. He talks about the incredible joy of being in God's presence.
And experiencing his love and mercy.
Yeah, that's the ultimate reward.
And he specifically mentions seeing God face to face.
That's a powerful image.
It really is.
It speaks to this deep longing we all have for connection and transcendence.
So it's not just about avoiding hell and seeking reward.
Right.
It's about fulfilling our true purpose,
As human beings.
which is to know and worship God.
Exactly.
So the Sheikh has given us these contrasting pictures of hell and paradise.
Two very different destinations.
But he doesn't just leave it at that.
No, he doesn't.
He ends with a powerful call to action.
Yeah, he reminds his listeners that the day of judgment is coming.
And we need to be prepared.
It's not something we can just ignore or put off.
It's a reality we have to confront.
And it's up to us to decide how we're going to face it.
So what does he urge his listeners to do? What's his advice?
He focuses on 4 key things: faith, good deeds, repentance, and seeking God's forgiveness.
Okay, let's unpack those a little bit.
Okay.
So first, faith.
Yeah, he emphasizes that genuine faith isn't just about intellectual belief.
It's about embodying that belief in your actions.
Exactly. It's about striving to live in accordance with God's will.
Surrendering to his guidance.
Yeah, and trusting in his mercy and justice.
So it's an active way of life.
Absolutely.
And this active faith is expressed through good deeds,
Yeah, our actions matter. They have weight.
both in this life and in the next.
Every act of kindness, every effort to help others, it all contributes to the balance.
It's like we're constantly creating our own record.
Yeah, our own book of deeds.
And then there's repentance,
Yeah, he stresses the importance of turning back to God when we make mistakes
acknowledging our wrongdoing.
and seeking his forgiveness.
It's a message of hope, you know.
It is.
It's never too late to change course.
God is merciful and forgiving.
So faith, good deeds, repentance, and seeking God's forgiveness
Those are the keys.
to preparing for the day of judgment.
They're the foundation of a life lived in accordance with God's will.
So it's not about fearing judgment,
No, it's about living a life that leads to a positive outcome.
both in this world and in the next,
It's about aligning your actions with your beliefs.
and seeking God's guidance and mercy.
Exactly.
It's interesting how he balances those terrifying descriptions of hell with this really hopeful message about the power of faith.
It's about balance.
It's like he's saying, yes, the stakes are high, but you have a choice.
You have the power to choose your destiny.
Okay, so as we wrap up this deep dive into the Sheikh's sermon,
Okay.
what stands out to you most about his portrayal of the Day of Judgment?
I think it's the way he balances the terror and the hope.
Ah,
He doesn't sugarcoat the severity of God's judgment,
no, he doesn't.
but he also emphasizes his compassion and forgiveness.
And the incredible beauty of paradise?
Right, he paints this vivid picture of both the rewards and the consequences.
It's a message that both warns and encourages,
Yeah, it's about making us think about our lives, our choices,
and motivating us to strive for righteousness.
and to seek God's guidance.
So it's not just for Muslims, right?
No, I think there are universal themes here that can resonate with everyone.
Yeah, the idea of accountability, justice, seeking meaning,
Those are human experiences.
regardless of your beliefs. So for our listener, no matter your background,
Yeah.
the message is clear.
Okay.
Reflect on your actions.
Right?
Strive to live with intention and integrity.
Make a positive impact.
And remember that your choices today
Yes.
will shape your eternal tomorrow.
That's a powerful thought.
Yeah, it really is. Like, this isn't just some abstract idea.
It's real.
It has real-world implications for us.
Absolutely.
And we've been talking about some pretty heavy stuff.
Yeah.
Judgment, hell, paradise.
Yeah.
But there's also this really strong thread of hope
Yeah.
that runs through the Sheikh's sermon.
Yeah, I agree.
He doesn't just focus on the negative.
Right. Not at all.
He highlights the beauty of paradise, the power of faith, the importance of good deeds, the possibility of repentance and forgiveness.
It's a balanced picture.
And I think that's a really important message to emphasize, especially for anyone who might be feeling overwhelmed
Yeah.
by the intensity of it all.
Yeah.
It's not about being paralyzed by fear.
It's not.
It's about being motivated to live a better life.
Exactly. The Sheikh's goal isn't to scare people into submission. It's to awaken them to the reality of their situation and inspire them to make positive choices.
It's like a wake-up call. Right.
A wake-up call.
To examine our lives, to turn towards God.
And to strive for a life of meaning and purpose.
Right. And it's a reminder that we actually have the power
Yeah.
to shape our own destiny.
Absolutely. We're not just passive bystanders.
Both in this world and the next.
Our choices matter.
And that's what I think makes this whole exploration of Islamic eschatology so compelling.
It is compelling.
Because it's not just some abstract theological concept.
Right.
It's actually offering practical guidance for living a better life.
It's about understanding why we're here and what we're supposed to be doing.
And recognizing that this life is connected to the hereafter.
Exactly. It's all part of a bigger picture.
And that message, I think, transcends any specific religion or belief system.
I think so too.
This search for meaning, this desire for connection.
The recognition that our choices have consequences.
That's universal.
Absolutely.
So for you, our listener, no matter your background, no matter your beliefs,
Yeah.
the message is clear, I think.
What's the takeaway?
Reflect on your actions, strive to live with intention and integrity, make a positive impact on the world around you, and remember that the choices you make today will shape your eternal tomorrow.
And don't forget the power of hope, the possibility of redemption, and the boundless mercy of God. Even in the face of judgment, there's always the potential for a beautiful and fulfilling outcome.
This has been a fascinating deep dive into Islamic eschatology, and we've just scratched the surface. There's so much more to explore.
There is. It's a rich and complex tradition.
But for now, we hope this has given you some food for thought, some inspiration to reflect on your own life and your own choices.
It's a journey we're all on together.
So walk with intention, choose wisely, and may your journey be filled with meaning, purpose, and ultimately peace.